welcome to a real special episode of MMA Life as we preview the UFC 254 card, Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. I'm even more excited because we're joined by UFC fighter Frank the Crank Camacho. Frank, mate, how are you?
Dude, very good. Feels good to be home, and man, thank God for technology. This is gonna be my first official time to break down like a few fights in a card. So gonna keep it as organic as possible
Of course. Yeah.
and try not to ramble.
Yep.
And I'm the worst with picks. Like whatever I pick,
Yep.
my wife always chooses the latter because it's like I always get it wrong. So FYI, don't be betting on my breakdowns. This is the way I think it's gonna turn out. So
Yeah. Awesome.
just a disclaimer.
Everything was recorded, so we're gonna hold you to it, mate. But no
Yeah.
pressure. UFC 245 is a really exciting card, right? Obviously headlined by Khabib in the 155 division. He's been as of course he's got a 0 to his record, right? So he's been as unstoppable as they come, right?
Gosh, dude, talking about like how do you? He has like a boxing record,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but with like wins over killers. So yeah, I mean I think him and I think Adesanya are the only ones that are undefeated. And dude, what these guys do to their opponents is just, they're just maul guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting when you see Khabib and let's get into it. The main fight, which is Khabib and Gaethje. It is the classic grappler versus striker matchup, right? And what I'm really interested in is as a fighter yourself that usually gravitates towards a striking sort of tendency. When you are matched up in your career, when you've been matched up against, everyone's got tape on everyone, right? Especially if you go to the UFC. When you know that you're fighting an elite, we're talking in Khabib's case, ultra elite grappler, does that play mind games on your striking or your cadence, or like how does that come about as a fighter from a fighter's perspective?
Yeah, so first off, grappling, or more so Khabib style of
Yep.
grappling, which is Dagestani wrestling.
Yep.
I've never been more tired in my training career than MMA, uh, with MMA or just with wrestling practice.
Yep.
Like wrestling is so tiring, dude.
Yep.
Like one of my greatest fears is to not be prepared to fight a guy like Khabib, or to back in the day when I was fighting, I was like, oh man, like I would love to fight everyone, but like a Gray Maynard would be just a tough fight, like someone that would just wrestle you and grind you and get on top of you, and you just can't do much. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's I think that is the most painful way to, and Justin Gaethje talks about it. The reason why he's fell in love with striking and knocking people out is because wrestling someone down and just holding them down and just outworking them with wrestling is just so exhausting.
Yep.
And wrestling can really put you in that place where it's you could take guys to a whole. That's why I think wrestlers are probably one of the best, or why a lot of champions in MMA come from wrestling backgrounds, because of that mental toughness and that mental tenacity that they can implement and push onto their opponents.
Yep.
See there, I totally forgot where we were going, but with this breakdown, I think Khabib's style is, for me personally, it will mentally mess you up, because at the end of the day, he's gonna what he's gonna do.
Yep.
So mentally, when I go into the fight, it's like, okay, do I just give up not really give up the takedown, but he's gonna take me down,
Yep.
for sure. Do I just hold on to him and just lose the round, and then so I don't get mauled and like and be on the other end of that beatdown,
Yep.
and then come out into the second round and try to like let my hands fly and level change? Do I shoot? Do I
Yep.
try to like so like it's all these different things that could definitely take you out of your game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Khabib, it all starts with that single or that double leg takedown, right? Like as you said, what he wants to do, but often at times you're kind of helpless to kind of stop it. How would you rate Khabib's sort of striking game? Because again, all fights will start at the center of the octagon, and obviously we know that like if it's a striking match, it's no contest. Justin will
Yeah.
pick Khabib
I
apart, but
think I think fundamentally, if Khabib was to go into a boxing match against just a boxing match with Justin Gaethje, I have Justin Gaethje winning 10 out of 10 times.
of course,
Kickboxing match, 11 out of 10 times, you know,
yep,
because
yep,
Justin Gaethje's like kicks. But man, at the end of the day, it's MMA, and because of how elite and how much of a skill set discrepancy Khabib has with his grappling and his takedowns and his wrestling, it really makes his striking flourish. You know,
yep,
man, he dropped Conor McGregor, the guy that has mauled everyone on his feet with his left hand. You know,
yep, yep,
left hand right hook,
yep,
mauled him, just fake takedown, boom, came
yep.
right on top, and that's the game of MMA. Is how do you blend these certain skill sets within each other to create your own, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How do you see, because Khabib's takedowns usually are the most effective when he traps you in the cage, right? So Justin
Yeah.
watching a lot of tape and kind of knowing this, and again, everything starts at the center of the octagon. How does he prevent himself from getting cut out by Khabib if he knows that he doesn't necessarily want to be there?
I think feints and angles
Yep.
is going to be the key to victory with Justin, because if you notice Khabib doesn't just take one shot and then stops, man. He'll take a shot and he'll miss, but then he'll reshoot and then he'll reshoot and he'll reshoot. Is that constant attack of the takedown
Yep.
that I think is going to be key to this. You know, Justin, he needs to crack him. He needs to crack Khabib hard. Let him know that it's there.
Yep.
Feint uppercuts, feints, and a lot of angles. You know, if he's moving left and right, then I think what that's going to help Gaethje with is the defense.
Yep.
Because if he just stays still, Khabib's just going to fire on him and push him against the fence. But if he's constantly moving left to the right, then Khabib's going to only have to shoot singles.
Yep.
Single legs, you know, and from the single legs, I'm sure Gaethje. I think Gaethje has that wrestling background to defend single legs and at least have a fighting chance to get a leg out and get back to striking, you know.
Yeah.
But he has to move his feet, and against his the Tony Ferguson fight, that is, we saw him make adjustments that is title ready, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that you brought the Tony Ferguson fight. So a lot has been made in the media about Justin's wrestling, and I've no doubt of his, college wrestling credentials. But when you look at least in the UFC sort of fights that he hasn't really fought definitely a wrestler of Khabib's caliber, or a wrestler in Khabib that constantly will go down for the takedown. So I wonder again, like from the perspective of a fighter, he's very comfortable with striking cadence and rhythm, right? And that's why he was able to make those adjustments with Tony, because striking is his realm. He's had those wars with Alvarez and Poirier, and those were back and forth, right? And he was in it for both of those fights. It's not like he was completely outclassed. I just think it really interests me because he hasn't necessarily fought a wrestler that'll constantly go for those takedowns. If that wrestling cadence is something that, like, you'll definitely practice for it, but in an elite level fight will kind of count against him. What do you think about that?
What do you mean wrestling cadence?
So the cadence of the takedown instead of a traditional striking match where you have establishing distance with a jab and like he's seen different versions of that in fighters.
Oh yeah. And I think Justin's gonna do a lot better than people think, because man, he's training with Usman.
True.
People are forgetting that, and I mean, he's a bigger guy.
Yep.
And he mauls dudes with wrestling at 170 pounds.
Yep.
And Yeah, although although we've never seen Gaethje use his wrestling, like in his fights, I still think because of the different styles of wrestling, I think Gaethje has a very good a very defensive game. What I think is going to be what I think is going to really make a big difference. I'm just looking at their photos right now. And the
Yep.
thing is who's going to establish the pressure. Who's gonna be able to move forward, because whoever is on their heels
Yep.
is gonna be just defending the whole time. If
Yeah, of
Khabib
course.
is on his heels moving around, Gaethje's gonna be landing that leg kick. He's gonna be landing those big shots.
Yep.
If Khabib is able to have him, if Gaethje move backwards on his heels, the fence is right there. He's gonna
Get
get
that
he's
takedown.
gonna get that takedown. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, man, classic matchup.
Yep.
Striker versus freaking wrestler.
Play the first 30 seconds of this fight out. Do you think, you know, Gaethje comes out crazy, starts trying to attack that kick, or do you think it's a more measured approach by both fighters?
I think it's gonna be very measured. I think we're going 5 rounds this fight.
Yep.
Um, I think, yeah, it's gonna be very measured, but when it does get on the feet, it's gonna be super super interesting. And then if it does get on the ground, I think Justin Gaethje is gonna initiate really crazy scrambles.
Yep.
But Khabib's gonna be able to hold him down.
Yep.
I think I think it's going to really come down to those scrambles, within those little intricate, very very important moments of the fight. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be battle of positioning.
Yep.
Who's gonna is Khabib gonna able to get him against the fence and hold him in position and start working the takedowns? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Gaethje's gonna just try to keep it on the feet with his angles.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. You're going 5 rounds. It makes sense to take a more pragmatic approach, but yeah, I really think it's interesting. Again, that classic matchup makes for a very interesting sort of fight. Gaethje, we know, usually comes with those explosive leg kicks, and if he lands a couple of them early, I see Khabib just out of natural reflex going for the takedown, and I wonder if in that sort of interchange, because I haven't necessarily seen Gaethje throw a knee, if there's like opportunities there, because he can definitely hurt him, right?
Yeah, I think throwing a knee though is gonna be a bad technique to try to get Khabib down, because it's like a single haymaker and
Correct.
with a really really bad consequence.
Yeah.
And like, man, I mean, yeah, the highlight knockout reel, like George Masvidal with that knee, is, man, would be so amazing. You know what I mean, for a title.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, that, or you're gonna be on your back for 4 minutes and 30 seconds and just keep taking a beating. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think Gaethje just needs to land that shin across the leg.
Correct. Yeah, that one.
Once he gets 2 or 3 in, it's gonna be a round. At least get 2 or 3 in a round. A good one, because that's gonna be a huge advantage for Justin Gaethje.
Yep. Yep.
Fire the leg kick, fire the leg kick. Khabib's gonna try to catch it. They're gonna catch it. I don't know if Gaethje should be going inside.
Yep.
Left inside leg kick, left inside leg kick. My only issues is Justin Gaethje's defense. He covers up like so.
Yep. So
So
so he leaves the takedown vulnerable, right? Like,
very, very vulnerable. I mean, yeah, he has fast hips and he'll sprawl out with his freaking feet all up in the air, but
yeah.
that shot and the second shot, the third shot from Khabib is gonna be yeah, it's gonna be hard to deal with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, watching like a lot of Khabib's fights, I think what really like kind of dawned to me from the McGregor fight was really great. Like I kind of watched that in the last couple of days again, but the Poirier fight, just how quick that explosion is, that double leg, that single leg, it's really quick. Like it feels like he's gotten even faster. I know that they grow up doing that, but like yeah, he doesn't come across as a very explosive guy, but in that movement, he's world class, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, like I was watching the Poirier fight. I don't know why it looks like it's so fast. Is it because I was just thinking? Is it because he stands so tall that level change is just like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But you know what I think would be like a, I highly doubt it's gonna happen,
Mm.
but I think a really good strategy that I'm curious to see is how would it be if you shot on Khabib? Like, you gotta watch the Khabib Gleison Tibau fight.
Yep.
Man, Gleison was shooting on him and taking him down. I mean, yeah, obviously he got tired and then he was just getting taken down and mauled. But yeah, man, throw a wrench in there. You know what I mean? Like, man, why don't you shoot a double leg and get him on his butt? You know, then have
Yep.
him start thinking, and then you can start addressing that. I think that would be a really good strategy as well.
Yeah, because the interesting thing is we necessarily haven't seen long periods of time where he's been on his guard, and he definitely plays the top game, right? Like he needs to be on top.
Yeah.
So a lot of his submissions are rear nakeds, cranks. You don't necessarily see anything more than that. It's more about control, position of the
And
submission.
he's a hammer, man. He's a
Yeah.
hammer, and then it's and now I would love to see Khabib as a nail and how he would react.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Give us a prediction. How's it going to be done? Like, what round is it?
Dude, I mean, I said it's going to be a 5 round war, but I really have Justin Gaethje TKOing him.
You're right. Early on or like mid, like third?
No, maybe like third, yeah, third
Yep.
round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Third round, because I think after that, I think Gaethje would be, yeah, third round.
Yeah. Interesting. So TKO. Frank's official prediction is a TKO on the third round. Yeah.
Yes, he's gonna find a home for that leg kick,
Yeah.
and then it's gonna be he's gonna, man. But you know, see, here I am looking at freaking Khabib's freaking record, 28 wins, 0-0. What the heck, dude? You don't just get that, you know what I
Nah,
mean?
you don't. You don't. And
You just,
yeah.
yeah, you just ban. But Justin Gaethje's 22-2, and he switched up his freaking the way he fights.
Yep.
So I'm with Gaethje, man. The highlight,
Fair
third
enough.
round. He's gonna find that leg kick, and then it's just gonna be all downhill from there.
Cool. I've got Khabib over 5, grinding it out. Pretty. Yeah. I see him really testing.
Such a safe answer. Such a safe answer.
What do you want? The same answer? I'm not gonna go for a controversial. That's how I see it. Over 5, but I generally see it just because it's interesting. I've seen a lot of interviews where Gaethje is 100% adamant that he will not get to the ground. So I think that's well, the Usman thing that you brought up is a really good insight, because I completely forgot about that. Though we haven't necessarily seen video of them for this particular fight, but I do know that they have trained together. So yeah, look, he definitely has that ability. But like, I just think I was so impressed by that Poirier fight. Actually, to me, it either goes to the extreme where you have Gaethje catching him, or like, it's because Poirier is no scrub, man. Like, and he got taken down, but he does not have obviously the wrestling credentials, but he got manhandled. Like, it just felt like such a different level, considering that he's like, up there as well, right?
Dude, yeah, Khabib made Poirier look like what's his name? Who took the fight on last minute notice that one time? New York kid.
Yeah, Al Quinta, but Al did
Yeah.
well. Al did well in that one.
It's so yeah, he did well. I don't know if it was just because Khabib was just kind of going through something mentally or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's another interesting thing that you mentioned is that Justin Gaethje is going into this fight mentally thinking that he's not going to get taken down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a mistake or not, because if he does get put on his back, does he feel mentally defeated? You know, does his game plan like kind of go through, on the mental side of things, or it's like, man, it's inevitable. There is a chance that I can get on my back. What do I do from that position?
I agree. That's the thing, and I don't know if it's just verbal posturing for the interviews, which it sounds good. It makes sense, but at the same time, if that's generally his predisposition, yeah, it's a very dangerous game, because
it's a very dangerous game. So yeah, is it a verbal posture, or is it like, so and kind of it's gonna be, and then we're gonna see. We're gonna see his demeanor. We're gonna see his conditioning. Justin Gaethje's had all this time to prepare. So
yep,
we'll see.
Nah, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight. I'm excited. Let's move
Yeah.
on to the co-main. Australia's own Robert Whittaker takes
Yeah.
on Jared Cannonier. This is an exciting one. I'm interested to get your thoughts. Hit me. What do you think?
Oh man,
Talk to me
I'm a
about what you think about Whittaker, because we're Australians. I mean, he's part Kiwi, but we're gonna claim him. Uh, like, what do you like about Whittaker's game?
I forgot where it was. I think it was in Sydney. I'm not too sure where it was, but you see Whittaker, and you know he former welterweight, moved up to middleweight. Not
Yep.
that big of a middleweight, but I've heard him crack pads,
Mm.
and good God, that guy can hit, dude.
Yep.
That guy hits like a truck. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And you know you're really as only as good as your last fight, you know, according to the, you know, to, like the way the fans see it and whatever. And you know, he had a long layoff against, you know, fighting Izzy, and I think Whittaker still has it, dude.
Yep.
And what a freaking matchup against a guy that's gonna be hitting just as hard, you know, who sleeps guys. But I'm a huge fan of Whittaker. I think he's man, martial artist in and out of the cage, family
Yep.
man.
Yep.
I totally dig his brand and his style, but the guy just loves to fight, bro. Who fights freaking Yoel Romero like that? You know what I mean? Like he
Yep.
took like probably 3 5 years out of his life because of that freaking fight.
Yeah. Of course.
Huge fan, huge fan. Hits like a freaking truck and is just well rounded. You know, very athletic. He seems like a very athletic guy.
Yeah. How would, in your opinion, how would you describe Jared Cannonier's game? Like, what do you think of Cannonier? What comes to mind?
Man, like just power.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Power. Yeah, and you know, if Cannonier came out and started fighting at middleweight, we would never have known. We would never known the type of power that he possesses because of, like, you know, you just see his gradual from heavyweight, light heavyweight, and now middleweight.
Yep.
Man, he hits like freaking. You know who he reminds me of? But not as powerful.
Yep.
Is I'm like totally on names. Guy that's Glover Teixeira, Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Johnson. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he reminds me of an Anthony Johnson, but a little bit more sound, a little bit more tighter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. I've got a very interesting, like, I was thinking a lot about this fight, and it excited me until, in my mind, I realized that I've watched this exact fight a couple of weeks ago, and I'll tell you what I mean. I think that this fight is almost like an Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. You see it? So
wow.
it's interesting because I've been trying to break it out, and I was watching these two guys, and I'm like, so what I've got written. These are the notes. These are the keys for Robert Whittaker. He's very bouncy. Like, his movement is very bouncy. He has these bull rushes. Like, he rushes and he goes. He rushes and he goes. His best combinations are where he extends upon it. He's got that, like, flinging overhand right, and he's actually not that technical in the sense that he leaves his hands quite low, right?
Low.
But he's got movements and feints, and I'm like, hold up. I've seen this fight. It's like almost a poor man's Israel Adesanya. And if you were to describe Cannonier, which you said, power, heavy hands. He's very deliberate, right? Like, he stalks people. He walks down. And I'm like, wait, I've seen this fight before. It's almost like Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa.
That is, you know, that is a very good breakdown, you know, and I think Robert Whittaker, with his hands down, he gets away with it because he can cover so much ground so fast.
That's it. It's because of his movement patterns, how he moves. He's very light on his feet for a middleweight.
But the only problem with a lot of the way he starts off his combinations with big leaps, is it just increases Jared Cannonier's power if he lands
to counter.
You know, versus, like, you know, getting cracked by someone versus running in and getting cracked by someone. And that kind of like hurt Robert Whittaker in his last fight against Izzy. You know,
exactly.
And I mean, with Izzy being one of the best counter strikers, you know, it's kind of like it was kind of a hard matchup for Whittaker, but uh, I think man Whittaker got a chin though, and I think he could take those shots early on. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's like you have a guy that's just immense amount of power, and Robert Whittaker to try to use his feints and his movement to try to get it going. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. I think
I give the power I give the power advantage to Jared
for sure.
Cannonier.
Yep.
And speed, athleticism, covering ground. Give it to Whittaker, hands up.
Yeah, absolutely. Very similar fight. The keys to the victory for Robert is to stay at range. You know, use his feints, come in and out, and hopefully wear Jared out. But yeah, Cannonier, he's very methodical. He stalks opponents down. And you're right. So what happened in the last fight against Till is Robert got cracked coming in by Till. So if he walks into one of those by Cannonier, he probably won't take it because the power differential to me there's a bigger hammer coming out of Cannonier, especially since that's a heavyweight coming down. So it'll be really interesting. When I thought about it like that, it's just interesting because he's got very Cannonier, that is very very good wins against Hermanson, David Branch, but interestingly enough, Whittaker he actually trains at a jiu-jitsu gym relatively close to where I live. He's like a purple belt. Like he doesn't really mix the takedowns as often as he should, but like he's got those credentials. Like he does BJJ, but we like I don't know. Again, I guess I think you fall in love with the striking, right? And it takes definitely less energy out of you.
Yeah, and also too, it's been working for him. You know.
Yeah.
The striking's been working for him. You know, I think, man, if he just starts adding in those takedowns to feints to takedowns, and just having more tools against a guy like Jared, it's gonna open up. All you just need is Jared to put his hands down to defend the takedown and then come on top. Because man, that's Whittaker's freaking game. That big right hand, big looping right left hook. You know.
Yep.
I think that's gonna be a key to victory.
Absolutely. How do you see this one going?
You know, another thing too that we haven't really considered is that Whittaker's been, even though he's been out for a lot of fights, he's always ready for 5-rounders.
Yep.
It's gonna be his first 3-round, or I mean, well, he fight Till with 3 rounds.
It was 5. That was 5.
It was 5, right? Yeah. So will that change the game? Maybe, but I have Whittaker winning this fight.
Yeah. How? Decision?
I think he's just gonna outscore him. He's gonna use his movement. He's gonna outscore him. He's gonna stay disciplined because he needs this win.
Yes, there's higher stakes here, and you've seen him in interviews. He's your quintessential Australian, very relaxed about it, but he doesn't want to lose. I can know as no one does. Yeah.
Yeah, but even now more so.
Yeah, the stakes are higher. What I found interesting is the fight that he had against Israel was very unlike him. Like he's not you. Yeah, it's not you. He's not. I think the pressure of Australia sold out crowd versus Izzy, Australia versus New Zealand. There's just a lot of narratives there. He's openly said that was a lot more pressure than he's not a guy that just likes that spotlight. Like that's not naturally his disposition. So he came in a lot more aggressive than he usually is. And to me, the Darren Till one was almost absolutely opposite. He pared back quite a bit. And obviously it didn't help that Darren was playing the same sort of game. So I'm intrigued to see that play out because it's 3 rounds versus 5. And if no one's, applying the pressure early, like you don't necessarily want to see an Izzy versus Yoel Romero. But at the same time, I think there's going to be a little bit more action there. But it'll be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I see the same. Whittaker over 3, decision, playing it relatively safe, striking when he needs to.
Striking when he needs to, staying disciplined and a lot of movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the heavyweight clash here, and this is an interesting one as well. Both fighters coming off losses, so wanting to right the wrongs. Volkov versus Harris. How do you see this one? What are the talking points here?
Ooh, dude, this is a tough one. I know Harris's last fight with
Overeem.
With Overeem was just a very emotional fight.
Of course.
You could clearly see that. Rightfully so. I don't know what he was. I wish I could say that, you know, I know what he feels like, but you
Yep.
know, I don't, and a lot of people don't. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think he would, he's probably grown from that last fight, and I think we'll see a more calculated, a more calculated Walt Harris this upcoming fight. Volkov, man, is just. But how do you train for a guy like Volkov, man? You need freaking basketball players
I
in
was
your
gonna
freaking
say, like, he even amongst the heavyweight, his dimensions are it's different.
yeah.
It's very different, right? So as a fighter, if you were, you know, if you were matched up with someone that was like much more taller than you, like how does that play on you? Like how do you prepare for
Yeah.
that if you can't get the
Well,
partners?
I think because environment wise, I've had a lot of training partners that were always taller than me. So
Yep,
if anything, I have a hard time fighting shorter guys.
you're right. Yep,
Yeah. So you know, I mean, the basics of fighting a taller guy is you gotta work your way inside with
yep,
feints and jabs and good defense. But when you do make it in, you have to let go combinations. You can't just throw single shots. You
yep,
know, make his way inside three, four different shots, move out or enable or start the clinch or start the takedown, and
yep,
then push off from there. You know, because yeah, Volkov, you know, Volkov striking is freaking good too. You know what I mean?
yep.
And yeah, now that one's a classic shorter fighter
Short guy versus
versus
tall guy.
taller fighter. Yeah.
Yeah,
And Volkov just needs to stay sharp, man, because what Black Beast did to him,
yeah.
man, he was winning that fight, and man, but that's what Derek Lewis does, though.
That's his mo. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
exactly
a
it.
classic Derek Lewis.
Yeah, Walt Harris, big, explosive. If you look at his record, he's got a lot of first round KO TKOs, right? So we know
Yeah,
he's got that in him. Uh, you know, Volkov definitely has that ability as well, but you know, not in the same league as Walt Harris. I think it's interesting, you know, looking at the strengths there. You're right, like the classic, you know, taller guy versus shorter guy. Walt has to get in the inside and has to unload, and we've seen him do that. Um, but to me, when I look at Volkov's record, he's fought dudes like Walt Harris.
yeah,
In
big time.
Yeah, so to me, I find that really important because he goes in knowing again that cadence of striking, where the angles are going to come from, and hey, I fought a Dan Hardy. Same, like they're both, you know, both athletes. I fought a Lewis that we know, you know, short, stocky, can throw a lot of heat. I know what to do. Whereas Walt Harris, I'm just intrigued to see that, you know, he's coming off the loss. They're both coming off losses, so they definitely both
Yeah.
want to win. How that's going to play out again in a 3-round fight. Do you see Harris just coming out and unloading? Because I actually feel that if he doesn't do that, it's going to be to his disadvantage against a guy such as
Oh yeah,
Volkov.
he needs to come out the way that he did against yeah, against Overeem,
Yeah,
but just a little bit more calculated,
yeah, yeah,
less emotional. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I think if he does that for 3 rounds, I think he can stop Volkov.
yeah, absolutely. So how do you see it going officially?
I have Walt Harris. I have Walt Harris and stopping him in the probably in the second round.
Gotcha. I've got Volkov over 3.
Yeah,
I'm going for every single safe pick. It's good. We're
yeah,
different. We're different.
and yeah, but, you know, honestly, I have that fight at 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. I'm just going with Walt Harris because I like the guy and his story, and but I have that fight at 50-50.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, man, the rest of the card's a bit shaky because as we discussed prior to that, you know, Dos
Crazy.
Anjos out with COVID. Jeez
I was
Louise.
looking forward to that fight.
That was a
I
good
was looking
fight.
forward to RDA at 55 and against man. That guy was tough, dude. I think that was a bad matchup for freaking RDA.
Yeah, but he's taking any fight at this stage of his career. I mean, but
Yeah,
it's a good name, right? Like, I mean, if he wins, and he stays, right? Essentially, right?
yeah.
But yeah, that was a good fight, and obviously it's terrible.
Hmm.
And Cynthia Calvillo's also got COVID just recently in the last couple of days. So
That's man, crazy, and I feel for them, bro, because you know they're probably doing really. You know they're not. I'm hoping that they're feeling okay. You know, but man, this thing is just shit. What happened to me? You know,
that's it. That's it. COVID does not discriminate. It
it does not discriminate, bro.
Absolutely. This is an exciting one. The first fight of the main card. Ian Kutalaba, I can't pronounce that guy's name. Magmed
I know.
Ankalaev. I always butcher these names. Are you familiar with the backstory of this fight?
No, I am not. I know, of course, Eon, but who? I'm trying to think of Ankalaev. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of that fight.
So I'll give
I
you the
don't.
backstory. These guys fought before. So what happened is Ankalaev rocked Ian Kutalaba. You can Google it in YouTube relatively early, and Ian he was doing this, and he got stopped really early.
Oh,
That's the
it was
one.
that fight.
That's the fight.
Oh,
That's the
okay,
fight.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that then.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's gonna be a good one, dude.
That's a sleeper fight. And in addition to that, they reschedule that one, and then Ian got. I hope that's how to pronounce his name, Ian. He got COVID.
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That was earlier. That was like maybe a few months ago.
Yes, yes, it was. So, yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, what a great way to start the card, because this guy, I don't know if it's a PR thing, but he loves yeah, he's called the Hulk, right? Kutalaba, like he paints himself green. He really gets into it. He gets the fans into it.
He's a wild man, dude.
He is. He is. He loves it.
The
He loves
wild
it.
man. He like
Yeah.
yells at it, dude. Like what he did with Roundtree. Roundtree was just like,
Yeah.
I was
It's gonna
like,
be.
man, wild. Like this guy is a wild man, and I think he lives it. You know, I think it's pretty authentic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see him.
I love it, and I think that's why the fans love it, and we're just all kind of getting behind it.
Yeah,
And
he's
then,
got a decent record. 15-5 is not a bad record.
oh, not bad at all. Remember the guy he's fighting, Ankalaev.
I don't know. I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, yeah. 13-1.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good fight, man. But just stylistically, that's gonna be a really, really good fight.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Rock'em Sock'em. That's literally how it's really how it started, and I
Yeah.
really hope it continues that narrative. So,
I hope they don't have that ref in there.
nah, I definitely hope so. But, mate, it's a good card. Apart from the middle of it being a little bit of question mark, and I'm positive that they'll get good replacements there. But yeah, it starts with the top, and obviously Khabib and Gaethje. Once that gets for the lightweight division, because obviously you fight in that particular division. How do you see the narrative going there if Gaethje wins it? Like, where does he go from there? Because I heard an interview where, because Khabib's such a dominant, been such a dominant force, but the next fight is the last fight in his contract, and it looks like he does want to either, if he wins, it's the rumored GSP fight. But if he loses, there's talks about him getting an immediate rematch just because he's been so dominant, which we've kind of seen play through, right?
Yeah, probably rematch. But then again, man, you also have Tony. You have Tony in there. You
Yeah.
have Poirier. You have Connor. Oh man, it's now with Justin winning, you have so much more play with the division.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think 155 is such a shark tank? Like, what is it about that like weight range that you have
I
so
think
many
because
killers
of
there?
the weight differences that you have, because you're getting guys that would usually fight at 165.
Because there's no 165, right?
Yeah, so because of how big of a difference it is,
Yeah.
you get a way bigger pool.
Yep. Yep.
Man, if you add a 165 and then a 175, you're gonna water down the division. It's still gonna be tough.
Yep.
Khabib's definitely going up to 165.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So at 55, man, you're gonna have guys like Justin Gaethje in there, who's a 55er, who's a real 55er. Tony Ferguson's gonna be moving up.
Yep.
To 65. So I think, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Well, Frank, I think we've come to a conclusion for our first card preview together. It's been fun, mate. Yeah, let's catch up and do this another time.
Man, for sure. Hey, 10 push-ups for the loser.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
it.
3 card.
Done. Cheers, brother. Thanks.